All right, folks, it's time for World Politics, and we'll have all kinds of conversation. I know that earlier today, Sasha and Ivan and Jonathan were talking about this notion of a summit that apparently Switzerland is organizing, and I think 80 countries have been invited. There is some pressure from Zelensky and others for Biden to be attending as well, because I think Zelensky said that if he doesn't attend, that's kind of like giving passing grace to Putin and all along those lines. But of course, that could also be a political minefield and all in that kind of way. So it'll be interesting to see whether he shows up or not. I know Ivan played a video that they were asking both Biden and Xi to show up, but they did say that Russia wasn't invited. So it's a summit to talk about getting peace in the Ukraine-Russian war, but apparently Russia is not invited and they're not to be there at all. But I think that it's something like 80 countries that are to be there, and that's to be in June. So they're talking about that and all along those lines. And then one of the things that I heard that was kind of disturbing, and I don't know what Rick has to say about this, or even Kim, or other people will be joining in our conversation as well. But I've been talking to some folks that are speculating that it is quite possible that Trump could win a second term after having sat out an election and all along those lines. And there's even some speculation that if he is to win, that he has kind of floated the idea, even though he says this in jest, that he would be willing to kind of be a multiple term president. I think the last time we had a multiple term president before the Constitution was changed was around FDR time and all along those lines. But Rick can correct me on that if I'm wrong and let me know. But there's been some speculation that maybe Trump might want to be even dictator for life and all along those lines. So it could be that he's going to want to change the Constitution. Of course, you've got to go through the process of getting it passed in the Congress. And then I think you've got to get the state amendments. And we know that that can be very difficult. If you don't think it's very difficult, try to remember back to when they tried to pass the Equal Rights Amendment and all along those lines. But it can be a difficult process, but it doesn't mean that he won't try it. And in that space, I also saw a video, and I know that Sasha is very much into the space of not liking crypto, but apparently there was a video that was floating around where Donald Trump was saying that he just wanted to make sure that crypto was solid and that it was able to be regulated and all along those lines, but that he was open to the idea of crypto. And who knows, if there's a Trump presidency, maybe there'll be a U.S. Currency that is in the crypto lane and all along those lines. He also made a kind of dig on Biden, because he said Biden didn't even know what crypto was, and that it was kind of one of those digs on his age and all along those lines. So I'll bring Rick in and see what Rick's got to say about these different items that I brought up, including the notion that if Trump is elected, and I'm not saying that he's going to win, even though right now he is ahead in various swing states, including Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and a number of other places, and in some places having a sizable lead. I think it's like a 9-point lead in North Carolina, and I want to say it's like either as equal or a similar kind of distance in Nevada. And we do know that those are some very important swing states. So what's your idea, Rick,
right,
of
so
this
Vegas
notion?
Gambling odds have Trump ahead also to something like, I don't know, 57 to 43. But these, well, the odds are based on wagering, which is largely based on polls. The polls are very iffy in that, people on the Trump side have thrown out like a lot of normal behaviors, including, telling the truth to pollsters. So I think the polls are somewhat contaminated by liars and lunatics. But, this is, today was the defense's closing argument in his Stormy Daniels campaign fraud case. Thursday, I think, is the prosecution, and then the jury will get start deliberating before the end of the week. And, Trump has been increasingly just gross and disgusting and unhinged. He, on Memorial Day, when we're supposed to honor America's war dead, he said, "Happy Memorial Day," to everybody except the human scum who opposes him, which is just, I don't know. I mean, like, how much horrible behavior are we going to put up with from this guy?
And wasn't there a hand gesture as well that people were getting on his case about? I'm not sure whether it was a salute because he is not military himself or what it was, but I do know that there was some sort of pushback for a hand gesture that he had as well.
I don't know, but I'm Googling it right now.
Please do let me know. But I know I saw something about a hand gesture that folks were thinking was out of character and was not something that he should have been doing, and all along those lines. But it was something that I
saw. He traced apparently somebody saying, two things. Let's see. One, that he traced a Q in the air for QAnon. I think that might be. Here's another thing. Let's see. Mock for hand gesture during Amazing Grace.
Right. That's what I heard about.
Oh, he was saluting a lot. It just kind of like, but so why is this such a horrible?
The Amazing Grace is basically a gospel song from what I think of.
So it is not doing a military
song.
So, but I mean, it's not. Yeah. Okay, so people aren't saying that he was being an a-hole by doing it. They were saying that, he was just showing that he's confused because he was saluting a lot at random times. And you really, I mean, you can pray to God, but you don't really salute God. So yeah, it's weird to do a salute during a gospel song.
Yeah, and that's where I think people were going with that and all along those lines. I'm going to bring up Kim, one of our other founders, see what she's got to say about a number of these things, including the fact that we've got a very hotly contested race here in North Carolina. And I know you sent some videos and you can get a chance to download them, but apparently there's an organization that is showing some videos, and if those videos ever get out, and who knows, maybe we'll start playing them on the network, that they kind of paint Trump in a very negative light. So you want to share a little bit about those videos?
It's just so funny. These guys got together. They just really do not like Trump, don't understand why the Trump fans want to put him in office. So they have compiled their own commercials and they are pushing them like crazy. I mean, I'll see if I can pull up a few of those, but they were funny, right? They were taking a lot of his things that are going on with him, and they're just, chaining them together and making it like, why would anyone vote for someone like this? I mean, and it just, it makes sense, when you sit there and you listen to all the things he's doing and has done and is convicted of, and so their commercials, they're funny. They're intended to be funny, to poke fun of him. And he, of course he doesn't like them. I'm sure he will probably plan to sue them, but a lot of their antic about it is, how's he going to service as president while in jail, kind of thing. So, and there was that brought up today too, that who is it? Cohen is selling T-shirts with Trump's picture on them behind bars. So, I mean, but, it's mockery, but it's not just mockery of Trump. It's a mockery of our country. It really is. I mean, I'm laughing about it because I'm just so over everything, but it's just a complete mockery of our country when you see all the things that this man has done and all the things that he's not just been charged of, but convicted of. And people will still put him in office because they think our country was in better shape than it was today. And today, we are in an inflation state. They blame Trump for the gas hike that we've learned through real sources, not made up sources who are just making up stories. But, I go to those meetings that the executives decided they just wanted a paycheck hike, but they've also taken their money and they've invested in electric vehicles. So they win either way. so they can jack the prices up on gas and chase everybody to electric vehicle. And then people are stop buying electric vehicles. They're going to be paying for gas. So it's a win-win for the executives. It had nothing to do with the president or the administration. And that's because we don't put a cap or regulate the gas as a utility, and we should. So that's my take on, Trump, I think is, they keep saying, oh, he's going to go to jail. And then you listen to the Trump fan radio station and they talk about how, everybody's lied about him in court and it's all lies and a scam. And so, if you believe everything the right says, then, nothing our legal system has done is legal. And if you believe everything the left side says, I think you're believing too much too. So I think that the jury will have to make that decision, and I pray that they make the right choice. But I think that this case was just over exaggerated on a lot of details that was unnecessary. I think that it should have just stuck to, did he commit a crime by misrepresenting what he wrote the check about? That's all. When you get audited by the IRS and they go, oh, you said this is what the check was for, but this is what it was really for. Boom, it's done. It's over. You're either going to pay him back or go to jail. And people, you don't go to jail if you report your taxes, but you can't go to jail if you're out and out lying, or you're going to be fined enough money, you're going to lose your house. So I don't think anything is realistic about what happened. It's sad that there are like real life, true jury stories going on right now, like murders and stuff like that are not getting near the enough attention that they should be getting. We've got wars going on that we need to put an end to. I don't know if anyone knows about this, but I think, who is it? Ireland, England, and Switzerland.
Yeah, they've recognized Palestine
together to say that that the Palestine is a state. And that our Western country is the only one who's not joining in on that. So, there's a lot going on that the Trump trial seems to be, masking and smoke screening. Yes, Brett.
I want to talk about a trivial and yet not trivial issue, which is that 2 of the 3 leading candidates for president are sex pests, sexual predators.
Yeah.
And so much so that the right has had to manufacture a bunch of BS against Biden to say that he's a pedo and a perv because he's put his head close in his history of being a politician. It's literally a political cliche that you kiss babies. And I don't know that Biden has kissed babies, but, over 50 years in politics, he's put his head close to numerous people. And so the right says, well, he's a perv who's sniffing hair. And then another thing is that if you're like Lance and all the little trivial talking points, apparently a female Secret Service agent, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago said that at his home, he swam naked in front of her. And all right, so but
one time I looked up and thought a girl was naked, and she just had a tan bathing suit on. And I don't think she really. She might have realized it made her look naked, but some of it was tan, and it looked like she was naked. I'm like, oh my God, that girl's walking around the pool naked, but she actually had a bathing suit that was very similar to her skin color. So he could have done.
The deal is that if he did swim naked in his home pool, it's not a perv thing. It's an old guy thing because I just researched this, from 1885 until the mid 60s, guys were generally forced or encouraged to swim naked if they were at swim team practice or just learning to swim at the YMCA and in a bunch of public high schools. It was just common practice. And Biden went to high school in the early 60s. So it's likely that he swam naked and maybe he retained the habit.
I mean, doesn't matter, I guess. I don't know.
I was just going to say they're trying to come up with anything to level the playing field, because you have a man who's completely flawed going up against somebody who they're trying to make flaws for. Sure, Biden has his issues here and there, but there's nothing comparable to how horrible of a person Trump is and how horrible of a person RFK is. So right now they're just using their megaphone and their messaging machine to put out whatever they want to. They're going to use AI as they have in the past. They're going to use bots. They're going to use the Russian troll farm, everything, because they've got to dirty up Biden to make him look the same as Trump, but there's nothing equivalent to that.
So let's talk about
use a lot of paint to do that. Let me tell you right now.
Let's just talk about RFK for a second, because fewer people know about RFK's thing. I think RFK is on his third wife. While he was with his second wife, he kept a diary, and the diary included a list of everybody he had extramarital flirtations and sexual encounters with, 37 women, not his wife, in a single year. And that he ranked from 1 to 10, the ranking being how far he got. Like 1 was just flirting and 10 was full on doing it. And the wife, when they were divorcing, found saw the diary, and she hanged herself. Oh. Now, I'm sure she had other issues besides his sex diary, but RFK is, and that's just his sex stuff. You know, there's also the heroin and
the heroin, there's the vaccines.
Well, the Kennedys have been known to be kind of, you know, in that.
Well, JFK had a room in the White House basement that he used for extramarital sex.
Well, it's not really. So the extramarital thing for RFK is bad, but his anti-Semitic ways, his racist push, his anti-vax push, all the anti-science stuff he does, that's where he's really a horrible person. I mean,
JFK or RFK, yeah. I mean, you know, again, we don't have any candidates to me worthy of voting for in this country. And this is what's really sad is we're supposed to be the superpower country, the country with all of the intelligence available to us. And the best that we can produce for candidates to run for president are 3 old farts, 2 of which are, you know, 1 foot in the grave and one the other foot's always in prison. So, I mean, I mean, come on.
Kim, just really quick. Hold on a second.
The only thing wrong with Biden is that he's old and he looks old. You know, it's his brain seems to function perfectly well. And yeah, he's not the most brilliant president of all the presidents. That might have been Teddy Roosevelt, who wrote 50 books.
Yeah, but just really quickly, I did have a question for Kim and everything, since she's the only woman here today and everything. But do you feel that there has been a normalization somewhat of letting folks get away with abuse with women, whether that's Trump, whether that's RFK? We've also got Puffy that's going through some things as well. So as the only woman on the panel, as a businesswoman, do you sometimes feel that there is a normalization of letting women be attacked?
I think that they have eliminated the empathy level for it. And you know, it just happens and nobody seems to care anymore. And, you know, you could say that's not true, Kim, because they do X, Y, Z, but I think it's just at an extreme high level when you've got, you know, your ex-president who's been convicted of it and people are still promoting him going, it doesn't matter that he did that because women were throwing themselves at him anyway. So I don't believe that's, you know, reel it back just a little bit. You know, I don't think that many women would be approaching the issue anyway, especially with such a high, you know, powerful man, because that's just scary. And this is what I tell people, you know, generally you cut your own throat when you turn a man in for sexual harassment or rape. And for the most part, most women just keep their mouths shut and move on. So yeah, I think that we don't. And also something else that has just disturbed me greatly is we don't have any real women candidates running for president yet. We had the primaries, fine, but when is the day going to come that we're going to have another Hillary Clinton up there running in office?
No, apparently you've got two strong women. Apparently you've got two strong women running in Mexico because Mexico is about to have a woman president because they're running against each other. So they've got a very difficult thing to deal with because there's a lot of gangs and cartels. So
probably does it because of the men will kill her. But go ahead.
We are a patriarchy, hands down. We attack women numerous times. We had the most qualified presidential candidate ever. But it just turned out that she was a woman, so no Republican man was going to vote for her.
Yeah.
Tons of Republican women weren't going to vote for her.
Nope.
You've got, there's a whole strain of our society that still attacks feminism as if it's some evil thing that's taking down men. Yep. You've still got a strain in our society talking about how masculine men must be. Look at Ron DeSantis' campaign, the thing that the videos that he put out when he was running his campaign. It's just, we are a patriarchy and it's in the death rattles of that. And so the same thing with racism. We're in the death rattles of those things. Kamala Harris will get attacked mercilessly if anything happens to Joe Biden. She's getting attacked already. She's pretty qualified. Elizabeth Warren, great woman. I don't like Nikki Haley's policies, and I don't like the fact that Nikki Haley is an opportunist. But Nikki Haley was more qualified than Donald Trump. But look who they went after. They went and attacked Nikki Haley. They say the same things because it's the same repeated patriarchy arguments that we have. Emotional. They they yell too much, and what happens in all these derogatory, misogynist comments that come because again we're in a patriarchy. And we vote against women, even if they're extremely qualified.
An interesting argument they make against women. That is that they're hormonal. And that's pretty ridiculous because Hillary Clinton, when she ran, was, 15, 20 years post, into menopause. So, her hormones were pretty steady. And Trump, when he almost died from COVID, they gave him steroids, which are hormones. And RFK Jr. admits to being on testosterone or something like some kind of, which is a hormone that makes that you've heard of roid rage. So 2 of the 3 candidates you can argue are actually hormonal. And actually, I'd like somebody to put Biden on steroids so he had a little bit more pep in his step.
But see, that's not the reason they don't vote for him. Here's the reason they don't vote for him. The liberals tend to lie. And here's a big lie that's going to drown the internet right now as we speak. It says, quote, if you can't join the military with a felony on your record, how can a person with a felony become commander-in-chief? And then they show a picture of Donald Trump. What does it mean?
Agreed.
It means the liberal Democrats have convicted Donald Trump when he has no felony record. They lied on the internet. And see what happens, whether you liberals like it or not.
Rape and fraud.
Republicans get tired of liberal lies all the time.
It's a fact. He's been convicted of rape and fraud.
Hold on. So I think they're just jumping the gun
right now.
Another
liberal lie.
Nobody's.
Another one is what you just said, Jacoby, which is all these sexist comments.
They're not claiming that he's been convicted of a felony. They're just. It's wishful thinking, hoping that the outcome of asking a question like if he does get convicted. And if you want to bet on it, you can bet that odds favor.
Rick,
here's the crazy.
That's beautiful to have a country.
You're talking about
wishful thinking.
Here's the
to have other
crazy
people
part.
Convicted of felonies.
Here's
another
the
reason
part.
People will not vote for your laws. Your wishful thinking is to take people down. That is really wishful thinking.
This is where we are now. We're at a point where Nick is advocating for someone who's literally in court right now, where they're having closing arguments, where he paid off hush money to a porn star to keep it quiet because he thought it would affect his campaign. He's considering that individual is qualified and fit enough, so they're going to make excuses. The fact that this man, and this is why I don't understand the idolization, the martyrdom of Trump. The man quotes Hitler, you make excuses. The man puts out a video talking about unified Reich, you make excuses. The man says that they're good people yelling out blood and soil, make excuses. The man it literally gets sued for not renting to black people, you make excuses. This isn't a person who's qualified for being president. Basically, he is amplifying everything antithetical to the American way of life or the American dream, yet you're making repeated excuses. He got convicted of rape. That happened.
No, he was found liable. He was found liable for sexual
in civil court.
Found liable for
fraud.
Assault,
and we're saying that this man is okay. We know he lies repeatedly.
I know, Jacoby, you're guilty before you're convicted.
No, hold on a second. Both Jacoby and Nick, hold on a second, because I got a question for both Nick and Sasha. Hold on a second, Nick, because I got a question for both you and Sasha. Because one of the things that I said in my beginning and everything was this notion that hold on a second, Nick.
Donald is a rapist.
I said at the beginning was that Nick, hold on, Nick. One of the things I said at the beginning was that, and this was not in the old tape, that Trump himself has said, and I've said that there are some people that back it. There are other people, including you and Sasha, that don't back it. But Trump himself has said that he is a fan of crypto and everything. So is that an issue that you have with him? Because he came out with a video and said that Biden has no clue what crypto is, but that as long as we can have a strong crypto, he would be perfectly fine with a crypto coin and with crypto being part of our economy. This is actually documented. It's actually out there that he has said that. And both you and Sasha have said that y'all are anti-crypto.
Hold on, even before you get that, it's well documented that he said he wanted to suspend the Constitution. He wanted to suspend the Constitution, and also he said that he wanted to be a dictator. So those two things are out there.
Way out of context.
Dictator and no Constitution.
Toby, you make the guy guilty. You're just like every CNN reporter. He's guilty. Now let's go see if we can dig up some evidence to convict him. Okay, and that's going around the internet right now. Would it be horrible if he actually was found innocent or there was a mistrial? Oh my Lord, we'll have to convict him of something else. And then let's go find some evidence that makes him guilty. And this, in your opinion, is the America way of life that he's going to try to stop. In my opinion, if this is the America way of life, he needs to stop it.
Counsel.
Well, Nick, he also has about 80 more indictments that he has to answer.
Yeah, all generated by the liberal left. We've looked at all those indictments. We've looked at them all. They're all made up. It's called.
But he's already been found guilty. He's already been found guilty of raping a woman.
He's already been found guilty, liable for fraud and rape. Now, counsel, just a quick semantic thing, because this is what the Republican Party does. Now, can a court find him innocent, or will they find him acquitted, meaning that they did not have enough evidence to convict him? Because there are two different things. If you're saying that
closing arguments, it's up to the jury. Can you wait for the jury?
Is that actually
before the jury comes to
No. I'm asking you a simple question. Can a court find an individual innocent, or do they find the person that the prosecution did not have enough as evidence to convict? Two different things.
Well, you can't find anybody in American courts. Don't find people innocent. They find them not guilty.
This is a question of fact up to the jury. Please, they're doing jury instructions.
You use the term innocent.
I know you've convicted them. I've seen the liberal press on the internet.
You just talked about terminology. You just literally talked about terminology.
Let's wait for the jury. Why don't we hang him and then let's go figure out what he
talked about. They already tried.
Hold on.
Can I interrupt just for
This is worse.
I want to know one thing.
You may quote Hitler, but the Democrats are Hitler. That's the difference.
Nick, when Trump was found guilty of raping Ms. Carroll, was that real or not real? Was that
guilty of rape? I don't think it was. I believe it was sexual assault. It's
No,
the
he was
Democrats
found guilty.
No,
The
it's
judge
only
said
rape.
the judge
It's
said
all
he was
totally
the
different.
judge said
And it was
Trump
a
was
civil
found
case.
to have
It
rape.
was not a criminal case, please.
The judge
It was
said
civil
it.
It's a
case, not criminal
technicality in New York
And
law.
to make
It's
matters
sexual
worse, to
for it
weaponize
to
the
be-
judicial
no, so here-
department,
I
But-
know
but
the
is it
specifics.
real?
statute of
I
limitations.
know the
You
specifics.
see how much
Let
they
me-
cheat?
in New York law,
The Democrats,
to
how much
be-
they cheat?
for it
to
in
make
New
a guy
York law,
guilty?
for it to
That's
be
the way of
rape,
life I
the
want.
penis has to go in the vagina.
That's
Because
New York.
Trump pushed her face first into the wall of the dressing room. She couldn't tell whether it was his penis or her fingers that went in her. And because she couldn't tell, it was only sexual assault. And that's what he was found liable for, though the judge in the case said it's tantamount to rape. That when you jam your fingers into somebody without their consent, in the judge's opinion, that's rape.
Oh, right. And the judge was there watching all this, right, Rick? Was the judge watching it? Were
two
you
juries-
watching
That
it?
doesn't matter,
No,
jury-
no,
Nick.
no.
You're
Jury-
you're a lawyer and you know this.
Case.
two
But
You
did-
guys
juries,
know it.
two
Nobody
juries-
on this
Did
panel
Trump
witnessed
say
any
he
of
put
it.
her
Including
his
the judge.
fingers in there trying to avoid rape?
No,
So-
but two juries found him liable for this kind of
Something,
sexual
for
assault.
something.
That's right. The jury found him liable for sexual assault. That's
Yeah, but
correct.
hey, hold on a second.
Yes,
Hold on a
the
second.
judge
Hold on a second.
determined
Hold on a
it
second.
as
Hold on.
Democrats got
Speaking
a
of-
statute
hey,
of
Nick,
limitations.
made his use today
Yeah, of
because of
course.
what he did.
Weaponization of the
Nick,
judicial department.
Again,
The
you
way of life that you guys
Nick,
want.
you cannot go on a tirade talking about how liberals lie and then you
No, they
yourself turn around and
They're
lie.
doing it right here.
I'm just
They're
saying.
doing it right here. They do it all the time.
But
and,
Nick,
and just
just
like
hold
you
on a
guys
second,
are saying
Nick,
all
hold
this
on.
stuff happened, and neither
No,
one
Nick,
of you
hold
are
on a second because I got
witnesses to
another
the
question about
is a he
politics
said,
and all
she
along
said
those lines
thing.
since it's his world
Yeah,
politics. But how much do we worry about what people say in public versus what they say in private? Because apparently there's another political force that is in deep trouble now, because I even mentioned last week I watched the interview. Looked like a great interview, and he definitely reached out to the LGBT community. But apparently the Pope is now getting a lot of pushback because he was in a private meeting somewhere in the Vatican with his fellow folks in that order and everything. I think there were some bishops, and apparently he made a very derogatory slur. And we all know that cameras are everywhere, and apparently the cameras caught this derogatory slur, and now he's having to backtrack and make an apology. So how much are we worried about how pervasive it is that you can say one thing in public, because apparently the Pope said some very, very friendly things where he was addressing and being very like making olive branches toward that community and everything, but apparently in his own private room and with his folks that are there in the Vatican, he used a derogatory slur, and somehow it got out there.
Well, you know, I'm surprised you guys didn't hang the Pope. Liberals like to convict people. They like to make people divisive. They like to hang the Pope, and then let's go figure out what the facts are later on. You know, and this is typical, and this is the reason America is going down the toilet. It's the liberal lunacy of discussing things
So
like this.
I look at more.
I just don't get it. Why you guys want to destroy America?
Hold on.
That's the reason Trump will be president, because he's going to make America great again. Hopefully, clean up this liberal.
I look at more, hold on, let me talk. I look at more liberal media than you do, Nick.
I think
And
more women are going to get raped when he becomes
just
president.
about every discussion of the outcome of this trial doesn't have him already guilty. Every discussion I see on Twitter or on MSNBC says there's a very real possibility that you get a hung jury or you get an acquittal. Nobody who's not a crazy person or an idiot, even among liberals, says that it's a slam dunk that he gets convicted.
Yeah, but there's liberal media right now proposing on the internet that he's convicted of a felony, and he's not.
Yeah,
And
but
so
that's one lunatic.
You know,
That's the internet, and the internet is not the
This
media.
is the problem that's wrong with America. Then you have guys like Titovi who are defending him. This is the way of life of America. But you don't want to change that way of life. Yes, we do. Yes,
talking about change that way of life and everything you're talking about in terms of what Trump wants to do. Trump actually has another lawsuit that he's actually involved in right now because he's trying to sue George Stephanopoulos for calling him actually what he is, a rapist. So Trump in the background during this whole trial is trying to sue George Stephanopoulos for calling him a rapist because he's trying to pull George. That is what Trump's whole thing is. He has no platform.
He's got 4,000 lawsuits going on. He can't remember what lawsuit he's involved in, and maybe what Stephanopoulos said was incorrect. He may have been guilty of sexual assault by the
rape.
jury.
The judge said it was rape.
Has a cause of action.
No. Nick,
Nick,
I need you to go to Google. I need you to look up the fact that the judge in that case called it rape. So therefore, the judge said that he's a rapist. That means everybody else can call Donald Trump a rapist.
That's not true.
That is exactly what he is.
The judge does not make the decision. It's up to the jury to make that decision. Now, the judge, it wouldn't surprise me. They'd say everything, because if you checked all the judge's records, they're liberal Democrats.
Called it rape based off of the jury's decision.
They're liberal Democrats, bought and paid for by Joe Biden.
No, some of these judges have actually been Republican judges. I know that for a fact. So you can't say that they're all Democrats. There are some Republican judges,
put liberal
Democrats
that are
currently, including some judges that were appointed by Trump himself.
Come on. We've checked, and even in this case, this judge in New York, his daughter is like a big campaigner for the Biden campaign.
What you're saying is that if you're a
Democrat, this is the way of life you want to protect,
not be fair to a Republican. So you are now stating.
Why don't you call the judges
here? Let me help me out. I'm trying to get an understanding. Are you stating that a Democrat who is a judge, or a judge that is a Democrat, cannot be fair and balanced to a Republican, and a Republican who is a judge cannot be fair and balanced to a Democrat?
Apparently not. And we used to have judges run what they call nonpartisan. We need to get back to that system. And I know you liberals love liberal judges everywhere. That Joe Biden is
nonpartisan right now.
Nonpartisan right now.
Nonpartisan judges would be a good thing to have back in the United States.
Most of the judges
I know that's hard for you liberals to comprehend.
Yeah, what judges are not nonpartisan?
Quite a few. As a matter of fact, in Florida, where I practice, almost all the judges ran as, quote, nonpartisan. It's been a recent trend that some of them now run as Democrats and Republican. We need to get rid of that system and go back to nonpartisanship. I know liberals would hate it.
No, I think the majority they're nonpartisan.
And obviously, then Trump would have actually nonpartisan judges rather than liberal hacks bought and paid for by the Democratic Party, which is in every one of his cases. And the problem with you guys, Republicans see right through your scheme. They see right through the liberal scheme. So they're not going to have any part of it. And we're going to get America where it belongs, back to where it belongs, and not in this loony toony phase that has been going on for the last.
All right. So in the four trials and leading up to the four trials, one of the four is Eileen Cannon, who's very much a Trump judge. And there are more cases than that because Trump and company brought 62 cases to court about the results of the 2020 election. And I'm looking around trying to find out, and he lost, I think, all but one, and one was like some technicality. But of the 62 judges in those cases, I'm trying to find out how many of those were Republicans, but it was a non-trivial number. At least a third of those judges were Republican.
And just really quickly, Nick, in that same category, if you want to go after judges and you want to go after folks, do the judges also have to be non-biased? Because one of the complaints, one of the complaints about the Supreme Court is that the Supreme Court has some Republican-leaning folks involved in their case.
You have deflected the issue away from the criminal trials, and you say, "Oh, let's go look at some." Other trials that took place.
No, what I'm saying is I'm deflecting because you want a bigger sample space to see if judges, regardless of political bent.
Go look at his 4,000 real estate cases and see how many won versus how many lost. That's still deflection. We're talking about the primary issue, Counselor, which is criminal cases here. We're not talking about cases that took place 4 years ago. And we're not talking about cases that Jacoby wants to bring up, which took place like 40 years ago, where he was involved in his father's company, relating to racism. No. We're talking about what's going on.
How do you count Trump's wins? If he settles out of court and the case goes away, did he win or lose?
No, we're not here to count wins. We're looking for equitable justice, and it's not being delivered on the legal front. Instead, we're seeing a weaponization.
You're absolutely right. He has screwed a lot of women, and it's not being taken care of.
No, it's not being taken care of. But
Nick,
hold on a second. When we're talking about, hold on a second. When we're talking about being equitable, I do have two questions for you. If we're going to be equitable, do we also have to be equitable if a judge is biased one way or the other? Because that's one of the complaints against Clarence Thomas, who, by the way, Clarence Thomas himself has said that one of the worst mistakes that was ever made was a decision that came down 70 years ago, which was Brown versus Board of Education. So he's talking about possibly overturning that, just like they overturned Roe and everything. And there's definitely some evidence that his wife has been involved and some other judges have been involved in some questionable antics and everything. So is that fair to bring those up?
What happened?
Yeah, but so let's talk about Trump's lawsuits for a sec. Trump's been involved in nearly 5,000 lawsuits in his lifetime. And his strategy is to get goods and services, construction work, and then refuse to pay. And then he gets sued, or he sues somebody, and then he gets them to settle, saying, well, look, I've got all the money and lawyers in the world, and I can fight this. And you will spend $500,000 fighting me in court, or you can just settle. I'll pay you a third of what I initially agreed to pay you. And that's how he wins. He wins through settlement for a small fraction of what people were owed by Trump. That's his standard tactic.
Oh, yeah. And you have evidence of this, Counselor? Can you bring that forward?
You can go through. There are lists. I can send you links to the lists of, not of every single case, but the cases, more than 4,000 cases broken down by whether he was the defendant, the plaintiff, what it was about. Was it about services provided? He stiffs people. Trump and his family lifetime have stiffed people out of about $1.5 billion. They might be America's biggest deadbeats.
Oh yeah, no, I've heard all the liberal talking points on this, but I've not seen one shred of evidence, even to this day.
Well, then you're not looking very hard, because all this stuff is out there.
Is true. It's out there in liberal press, but there's no shred of evidence that you're saying that it's true.
So did y'all hear?
Liberal talk.
Let me tell you what I have a problem too with is, we talk about our border control, and they just recently, let's kind of shift the topic just a little bit, because this is something we've forgotten about. But, we cry and scream about, all the people coming across, narcotics being carried across, which I find it hard that all of the people are swimming across the river with narcotics. But they just recently put one of the border officers in prison for only 7 years for accepting bribes that did human trafficking of people across the border and narcotics, that he actually took narcotics across the border. He would charge $5,000 per human and traffic them across. And this is one of our officers. So, you know what, people, it's our own people bringing the narcotics in, and they're making money off of it. We don't need a wall. We need integrity. We need integrity. We need to get that back into our country. But, we're not looking at all the other problems that are occurring, and everyone's been crying and boo-hoo, all of the people here in our country that don't need to be here. And this man's only getting 7 years. He had $150,000 that they could find. And, I'm sure that there was more, but he's only getting 7 years. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, we already know what's wrong with this picture. It's the Biden administration. Remember, he was taking bribes during the Biden administration.
No, Trump many years. It was during Trump, too.
Secure the borders. Biden goes, no build wall, no secure borders, free for all, take bribes as you want. It's just more Biden
So
administration.
I found out something interesting. I looked at the
managing the wall, which is incompetent. And then if
I found something.
He just said that it was.
Well, hold on. Let me wait. I found something that weighs in Nick's favor, where I have to stand a little bit corrected, because USA Today a few years ago did a list of Trump's 4,100 legal cases to date, and what I found is that the largest subsection are about 1,700 cases where he sued people who gambled on credit in his casino and then refused to pay. And in that case, and he won the vast majority of those cases. So those 1,700 cases were actually legitimate, which surprises me.
Oh my God. He actually had legitimate lawsuits. But see, this is not the narrative of the liberal left. You need Jacoby to jump in.
Here, I'll jump in real quick. You know a lawsuit that he lost?
And all the cases are there where he drives people out. So now we know that what Jacoby is saying.
You know a lawsuit he lost?
It doesn't surprise me at all.
He lost
liberal
the lawsuit.
lunatic stuff.
Hold on, Nick. Here you go, Nick.
Wait, Jacoby's saying something.
Hold on. So, the lawsuit he lost. Here's a lawsuit he lost. He lost a lawsuit for not renting to black people. Yeah, he lost that lawsuit. You know, another
40 years ago, Jacoby.
You want a recent one he lost?
40 years ago. Boy, you've got a memory that's really good. I want to listen to things that happened 40 years ago. Wait until his vice president is this guy Scott becomes his vice president.
Talk about one that he lost last year.
Singing a different song.
Hold on. You asked for a recent one. He just lost a lawsuit for rape. So he's a rapist. He just lost a lawsuit for fraud. So he's a fraud. He's a con man. So those are two lawsuits he lost just recently. And a lawsuit he lost a while back. So the man is not a good dude. On top of that, did you realize
you want him to be a bad dude?
That deports more people than Trump? And you're talking about not securing the border?
Yeah, he wanted to secure the border. Border control. That's what this
is. Yeah.
I will say this.
I don't know why you're against border control.
There's a small town in Virginia that changed their name. I don't even know what it was prior, but it's called Trump Town now. So
that's Klan country.
There we go.
That's Klan country.
Well, I drive through it real fast.
I will go around it. I'll take a long way.
No. You need to go there and be proud that Donald Trump, the next president, of the United States.
I am not going through Klan country.
Trump Town, Virginia.
The problem is liberals have no respect for the office. None.
Klan country. I'm not going through there.
Yeah, I guess Nick's gonna be running through Smithville, because Smithville used to have a notorious sign as well. I think it was like "Welcome to Klan Country" or something like that. So I guess you're going to be going through that area as well. I believe that was Smithville. One of those now.
You can go to Greensboro.
I believe in equity and justice for all, and a man is innocent until they're proven guilty, as opposed to the.
Well, he's been proven guilty twice.
Man is guilty. Now let's go.
He's been proven guilty.
He's been proven guilty. Nick, he's been proven guilty. Yeah, he's already been proven guilty.
No. He doesn't have any felonies against him. I mean,
it's not a felony to sexually abuse a woman.
That was a civil case. The civil case standards are pretty low.
Here's the funny part. Glossing over it.
Would you let your granddaughter go spend the weekend with him?
No, but I mean, just think about that. You're glossing over it as if it's okay. Oh, well, it's just sexual assault. It's okay.
You're talking about a civil case that took place more than half a decade ago.
It's just his fingers.
And they had to change. They actually had to change the statute of limitations. The liberal leaning
left. They don't understand rape. New York does not know how to define rape. It was just his fingers.
New Yorkers get what they deserve when.
So is the Godfather a big lefty as well? Because apparently Robert De Niro came out and denounced Trump as a coward, and that was done recently and everything. So the Godfather has come and spoken and everything. So is he part of the liberal left and everything along those lines? Because he just came out.
Most of the people in media are, Mark. I mean, you know that.
I'm saying,
Robert De Niro and all those people that live where Rick Rossner lived, they're on the left coast. come on. I mean, so it doesn't surprise me that he's going to get a lot of, quote, celebrities. They'll be in favor of Biden. So what? They're the ones that have ruined this country.
A lot of celebrities
are ruined California, Mark. Why do you think people are leaving California? Go talk to Rick. There's more outflows than inflows in California because people are tired of the liberal life.
Actually, the outflows have slowed and maybe stopped. California's population is growing again. And the deal is, when you say people are leaving California, it's because there are so many successful, rich people in California that at the average house, it costs more than $800,000. And so, yeah, it's hard for some people to live here if they're not, super successful. It's a state for frickin' winners is what it is.
No, it's a state for losers. And you know that. And your friend Newsom knows it. They tax people out the gazoo.
The most I've ever paid, the most I've ever paid in state taxes was last year, I think 6.3%, because we inherited, and when you inherit, like, some of the money is taxable. And when you inherit a ton of money, you got to pay some taxes on it. My wife's like, why are we paying so much money in taxes? I'm like, because we ended up with a ton of money. 6.3%, $1.16 going to the state is not that much at our income level.
Yeah, but if you're in Nevada, it would be zero. So that's one reason.
Have you been to Nevada? Nevada is freaking
zero in Nevada. You're just in the wrong state. You're in the liberal lunatic left state.
Just point out.
Leave California. And you're right. It's slowed down, but not really. More people are leaving California. The people that are coming in as illegals from south of the border.
We're nomadic beings. Everybody leaves. People leave out of Florida. People leave out of North Carolina. People leave out of New York. People leave out of Texas. What you're saying doesn't make any sense. That's
because people can't afford California.
Here is the big point. Hold on. I got a question. Here's a big point. Now, if you look at actually the money that goes in and out of these states, that's where you want to go. Right now, California is the 5th largest economy in the world, not Nevada. The red states actually take more money from the government than the actual blue states. The blue states actually put more money in than they take out. The red states take more money out than they put in. So the red states are technically your welfare states, which are the ones that you're against. So to point out that you want to go to Nevada or all these other red states that you're talking about, you may want to rethink that.
No, I don't rethink that. You can just look at the people leaving California. I mean, most people they're leaving California. They're moving to Texas. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to
No. So I wouldn't move to Texas if you paid me billions of dollars. I would not move there. But do you know what city in the country just got voted the filthiest, dirtiest, scummiest city in the country?
Los Angeles?
No.
Really? That would surprise me.
No, it wasn't Los Angeles.
Some place worse than Los Angeles?
Anybody? Anyone?
El Paso?
Houston, Texas just got voted the filthiest, dirtiest city in the country.
Come on. It's not a filthy, dirty city.
Oh, it is. The last time I was there, I would walk out of my hotel in a nice district.
Yeah, you know who voted them the filthy, dirty is a bunch of liberal loonies in California.
No, they've let the city go. No, you have no idea, Nick. The last time I was there, it was very disgusting. It was really sad. I even wrote in about it because I was like, I'm really concerned about this city. It was really filthy. But the problem is the homeless. To be honest with you, nobody ever talks about the homeless that are there. But it was ranked. But also, I mean, if you look at the fact that the governor pardons a convicted murderer so that he could go back out on the street with a gun because he gave him a pardon when he, shot somebody, not in self-defense, but they came back and said, well, he has PTSD. So instead of sending him to a mental home to get help, they go, oh, just pardon him. So he pardoned him. So now this guy, severe PTSD, is not going to go get help, has a pardon, is going to go get another gun and shoot and kill somebody. So, and jury. It was a long trial, a very long trial.
Aren't you talking about the guy that shot and killed the black individual or the Black Lives Matter people? And that's another reason why he let them out, because he shot a Black Lives Matter person.
Right. But my biggest issue is you're letting a guy. Okay, the mindset here is, oh, we're going to pardon him because of that. But actually, their excuse was he had PTSD. Well, you're going to let a man get a gun now that has PTSD and kills people with PTSD? I have issues with that. That's very dangerous. That's a very dangerous part of our country. It really is. I mean, nothing surprises me in Texas. I won't go there this year. I'm not going to my family reunion because of that, because it just screams how dangerous they are. You know, they just, and that was wrong. Okay. I know that they did it because of that, but you're dumb enough to sit there and go, we're going to let this man back out on the streets on a pardon because he had PTSD. No, you send him to a mental home then. And if he killed somebody with PTSD, you send him to a mental home, but you don't give him the right to have another gun. So Texas has just become the slimiest, grimiest place you can imagine, plus all the Trump flags. So that's another reason why I don't like going there.
Republican states.
I feel overwhelmed by Trump's face everywhere. Like it's freaky. Like there are more Trump flags than there are American flags. It's kind of weird. So my last trip there was in, I think, March for the oil and gas convention. I don't think I'm going to go again because it's just super, super not safe. But we're 3 minutes from going out. Let's take a vote real quick. Will Trump be found guilty or not?
I'm going with the bookies, and that, you know, if I had to bet money, if somebody, you know, offered me even odds, I'd take that bet, because people who know what they're talking about seem to put him in the 70 to 80% chance of being convicted range.
I'll say he'll be hung on a few of the cases or a few of the counts, not all 34 or 32. He'll be convicted on. He'll get hung on a few. He'll be convicted on a few others. I'm guessing between about 12 to 15 he'll be convicted on.
Yeah, I'm voting for a hung jury, and then when he
Mark, what do you
think? Oh, I'll say it. Was I muted? Oh, I was just saying, I think it'll be a hung jury as well. So I think it'll be a hung jury, and then they'll go out and get some of that NVIDIA that Sasha keeps touting and everything. So yeah, but it's going to be a hung jury. That's what I'm thinking.
I believe it will be a hung jury as well, and he'll just be able to go about his business as normal. So that just proves in this country, if you're wealthy and have been the president, you could do whatever you want and get away with it and have full immunity. Go ahead.
So if it's a hung jury, do you think they immediately turn around and convene a second trial?
I do believe the prosecution will do that. What do you, Jatovi?
Yeah, I think they'll reconvene or try and bring up another trial. Especially because with it being an election year, they want to make sure it gets done ASAP. Yeah. I mean, if he ends up if he wins the presidency, the other trials are going to go away because they are federal cases. The only other one that might not go away would be the one with South Carolina and Fonnie Willis. Although, no, because the one in Nevada, did that one get brought up? Because
is he a defendant in that one?
Well, they will, but we have to end the show, and we'll talk about it next Thursday. So everyone have a great day. Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
See y'all.